I wanted to tell you about fabric numbers and how they are laid out, the color layout of the quilt, in case you want to change how you lay out the colors of your quilt. And if you'll have the cover sheet of Fractured Star at hand, and also 3 pages from your instructions, page 4, page 7, and page 12, which is the back page. Now I've taken these out of my sheets so there won't be a glare for you. And we're going to start with page 12. I've zoomed into this section of page 12. And you see on this column are the fabric numbers. And here we have 4 numbers in this section, or this row of the table. And there's a total of 7 yards, or each one of those is divided out. So fabric A1 is 3 yards, B1 is 2.5, B2 is 1 1/4, and B3 is 3/8 of a yard. It also gives you the inches you need, and these are the exact inches you need. So I would suggest getting a little bit extra if you think you're going to have some shrinkage, or if you're going to cut wrong, or just for a little extra. And so this tells you the fabric color here, and these are the fabric colors that are on the cover sheet. This is Tonga, and then the number, the manufacturer's number, and the color, espresso here. And this tells you that this fabric is used for all of these 4 fabric numbers. So how do we tell where these fabrics go? And we do that by the fabric numbers. Let's look at A1 first. Now we look at the top part of page 4. And if you look here on the outside, it says fabric A1, and here, and here, and here. And we also know, because the shading is different, that these pieces of fabric here are also fabric A1 because it's shaded in the same color. And if we look here, fabric A1 is 3 yards. So this means you need 3 yards of fabric to do all of the accent pieces. And these are the diamonds here in the quilt. So all of these accent pieces here. That's A1. Now let's look at B1, B2, and B3. For this we look at page 12 at the bottom, and I'm going to show you just part of it so you can still see it. We look first for fabric B1, and it's here. All of these say fabric B1. And we can tell that this is in the background of the large star. If we look at the cover sheet, this is fabric B1, this espresso fabric. And I wanted to point out something about these fabric B1 and fabric A1. Since you have these accent pieces in these diamonds, our fabric A1 are the same fabric as B1, which is the background. These fabrics in the diamond units appear to float on the background. And so if you want that effect, then you'll have your fabric A1 and your fabric B1 be the same fabric. And if you'll also note, you see the background fabric is here in this stripe border, and it's also in the outer border. So let's look at those two. Here is your stripe border, and you see it says fabric B3. It also has B4H, B4G, F, and so on. But if we look at the fabric B3 here, we see it alternates. And that's what gives us the little stripe. So the stripe here matches the background of the star and the outside border. Okay? Then we look at fabric B2, and this is the outside border. So that is this border here. Now if we look here, back on the last page, page 12, we see that they have chosen A1 and B1 to be the same, which is the same fabric, which is the accent and the background. And as well, they've chosen B2, which is the outside border, and B3, which is the stripe, the accent in the stripe border. You can choose to do different backgrounds. If you want a different background, you don't want it to mix, then find your background is fabric B1 and you choose the yardage for that. Or if you want to make it just like it is on the cover, then you choose the yardages here. So you can split out these, you can keep them the same, you can split out 1, 2, or all of them. So let's move on to fabric B4. It's down here. And actually let's look at fabric A2, A3, and B4. These are, if you look across here, A2 is 12 2.5-inch strips. A3 is 24 2.5-inch strips. And B4 is 8 2.5-inch strips. And let's see how those are shown. If we go back to page 4 and we look at our diamond color unit block fabric layout, we see here is fabric A2 and here is fabric A3. And you'll notice that these are the light fabrics. Fabric A2 are the light fabrics. Fabric A3 are the dark fabrics. So if we look here again, A2 is the light. You need 12 strips for the light fabric. And A3 is the dark, the medium to dark fabrics, and you need 24 of those. And then we'll look at B4, and that's down here. And if you look at your sheet, you'll see it starts on this side, B4A, B4B, C, D, E, F, G, H. There are 8 here, fabric B4s. That means there are 8 strips that you'll need to get. And so that here we see B4, 8 strips. So A2 is light, A3 is medium to dark, and B4 are 8 strips that go in the striped border, which is here. Next, I'm going to show you how I chose my fabrics. This is a close-up of the fabric I had on hand, and you can see it's a black background with multicolors inside. And I had plenty of this fabric to do the quilt. And what I did, I chose my strips of fabric for the diamonds and the stripe border. I chose strips that coordinated with this fabric. You need a total of 44 strips. You need 24 medium to dark strips, 12 light strips, and 8 strips for the diamond border. And what I did, I just chose from my scraps, and I chose 44 strips of the colors I liked that coordinated with my fabric. The first thing I did, I chose 8 of the strips that I wanted to go inside the striped border, which is this border here, the striped border. So I pulled those 8 out, and I'll decide later on what order I want them in. And this is fabric B3. Next, I chose the 12 lightest fabrics of the fabrics that were left, and I put those together. So these are 12 strips, and this is fabric A2, the light strips. So the remaining 24 strips are all the medium to dark fabrics, and those are fabric A3. For my accent, which goes around each diamond unit, and the accent in the striped border, I chose just a solid black. So this is fabric A1 and fabric B3 for me. Once your fabrics have all been chosen, if you like to pre-wash your fabrics, you can do that now. And if you don't, then you'll just go ahead and fold it for pre-cutting. First, you'll take the fabric as it comes off the bolt. If you haven't pre-washed it, this is the fold of the fabric on the bolt. These are the 2 selvages that meet together. So you fold the selvages up to the fold, and you have 4 layers of fabric, like this. And what we're going to do next, after we have all our fabric prepared, we're going to trim off the edge, and then we're going to do pre-cutting, and that will be in the next video. So now you can prepare your fabrics like this, have them all folded in 4 layers, and then ready to pre-cut. And I like to fold them, and I put a little label on the top. So this happens to be fabric B1.